नमस्कार गुड मर्निङ नेपालमा यहाँलाई स्वागत छ। आज शुक्रबारको दिन TGIF र मसँग हुनुहुन्छ TGIF बनाउनलाई रेडी सरिता श्री गेवाली। उसलाई हेलो भन्नु अगाडि यहाँलाई फेरि पनि एकपटक ह्याभ अ गुड फ्राइडे मर्निङ भन्न चाहन्छु। र सरिता गुड मर्निङ।
एकदम गुड मर्निङ समीर र यहाँहरू सबैजनालाई एकदम सुप्रभात, गुड मर्निङ नेपाल र वेलकम टु आवर शो। म सधैँ नै शुक्रबार जस्तो सधैँ नै रमाइलो गर्न रेडी मान्छे पनि हुँ र हाम्रो शो पनि त्यस्तै नै हो। यहाँहरूलाई बिहान बिहानै एकदम यहाँहरूको दिन शुभ बनाइदिने हाम्रो प्रयत्न सधैँ नै जारी हुन्छ। र आजको कुरा गर्नुपर्दा बिहान 5:34 सूर्योदय भएको थियो भने साँझ 6:43 सूर्यास्त हुनेछ। त्यस्तै गरेर आजको दिन कस्तो रहनेछ समीर?
सो आज मौसम इन्ट्रेस्टिङ छ। देशको पूर्वमा बादल सहितको दिन र पूर्वका केही जिल्लाहरूमा बिहानदेखि पानी पर्ने र दिउँसो अझ बढी पानी पर्ने सम्भावना देखिन्छ भने पश्चिममा मौसम सामान्य र मध्यमा पनि बिहानभरि के देखिन्छ, दिउँसो या साँझमा चाहिँ बादल र पानी पर्ने सम्भावना छ। तर त्यति भन्दा भन्दै देशको समग्र देशमा हेऱ्यो भने पूर्वमा बाहेक अरू त्यस्तो एक्साइड हुनुपर्ने उत्साहित हुनुपर्ने सम्भावना छैन। खण्डवृष्टिको सम्भावना त रहिरहन्छ र काठमाडौँमा पनि त्यही हिसाबले चाहिँ मौसम राम्रो हुन्छ। बादल सहितको दिन भन्न चाहन्छु म र खण्डवृष्टिले गर्दाखेरि साँझ रात चाहिँ पानी पर्न सक्छ। अहिले बिहान 7 बजेको तापक्रम 26 डिग्री सेल्सियस थियो।
मैले अघि समयसँग पनि कुरा गर्दै थिएँ, आज बिहान आउने बेलामा यही घाम पानी भएकोले पनि होला कस्तो राम्रो रेनबो देखिएको पनि थियो। यी भयो आजका हाम्रा मौसमका बारेमा छलफल। आजका हाम्रा साँझका कार्यक्रमहरू एकचोटि हेरिहालौँ। आज हामीसँग विशेष अतिथि पनि हुनुहुन्छ, तर अहिलेलाई पनि साँझका कार्यक्रमहरू।
यी तपाईँ आजका इभिनिङका कार्यक्रमहरू र तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भने कान्तिपुर टेलिभिजनका हरेक कार्यक्रम रमाइलो हुन्छन्, मजाका हुन्छन् र विशेष गरी इभिनिङका प्रोग्रामहरू झनै रमाइलो हुन्छन् र प्रत्येक दिन के न केही नौलो आउँछ तपाईँहरूको लागि। आज 6:30 र 9 बजे इन्ट्रेस्टिङ छ। 6:30 बजे युएनआई हामी पटक भन्छु अनि युवालाई केन्द्रित कार्यक्रम हो भने 9 बजे हल्के हलदार भन्छौँ हामीहरू हास्य कार्यक्रम हो र विशेष गरी आजको दिन फेरि जोडिएको पनि छ। त्यसको बारे सरिताले थप विवरण दिनेछ। सरिता, व्हाट इज इट
टुडे? आज गाई जात्रा समीर। अस्ति नागपञ्चमीदेखि अब हाम्रो पर्वहरूको सुरुवात भयो पनि र आज गाई जात्राको दिन। स्पेसली काठमाडौँ उपत्यकामा चाहिँ घर घरबाट यो वर्षमा जो मृतक परिवारहरू, शोकाकुल परिवार थिए, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ आफ्नो परिवारका कुमार छोराहरूलाई चाहिँ गाईको रूप धारण गरेर घर घरबाट निकालेर जात्रा मनाउने र त्यो शोक बिर्सिने चलन छ। यो सुरु भएको काठमाडौँमा एकचोटि राजा प्रताप मल्लको सानो नाबालक छोराको मृत्यु हुँदाखेरि रानी एकदमै शोकमा परिन्। उनले जे गर्दाखेरि पनि यो शोकलाई भुल्न सकिनन्। त्यसपछि राजाले चाहिँ के डिसाइड गरेछन् भने कसको परिवारमा आफ्नो बच्चाहरू अथवा मृतक मान्छे थिए उनीहरूको घरबाट अगाडि गाई राखेर सबैलाई एउटा जात्रा निकाल्ने भन्ने कुरा भयो। त्यो भइसकेपछि रानीले यो शोक चाहिँ मलाई मात्र परेको होइन रहेछ भनेर चाहिँ उनीले यसलाई चित्त बुझाउन सकेकी थिइन्।
एकदम राम्रो। र आज सरदारले विस्तृत रूपमा जानकारी दिइहाल्यो के हो गाई जात्रा भनेर। र आज अब हामी ब्रेकमा जान लाग्छौँ। ब्रेकमा जानु अगाडि आजको एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम किन छ भन्दाखेरि आज हामीसँग एकदम इन्ट्रेस्टिङ गेस्ट हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ सुधाकर जयराम हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ चाहिँ मेडिसिटी नेपालको CEO हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ आज आउनुभएको कारण के छ भन्दाखेरि अहिले नेपालमा एउटा नयाँ प्रविधि हुँदा पुरानो चलनमा आधारित हो। नयाँ प्रविधि के भन्दाखेरि हातको सेन्सेसनबाट, छुनेबाट ब्रेस्ट क्यान्सर स्क्रिनिङ, स्तनमा हुने क्यान्सर हातबाट छोएर गर्ने एउटा पुरानो प्रविधि हो। त्यसलाई यसरी हेर्नको लागि एउटा कार्यक्रम सुरु हुन लाग्छ नेपालमा। त्यसको बारे अलिकति हामीलाई जानकारी दिनलाई उहाँ आउनु भएको छ। अहिले हामी ब्रेकमा जाउँ। ब्रेकबाट उहाँलाई लिएर आउँछु। कोही नजानु होला, एकदम इन्ट्रेस्टिङ टपिक छ। ब्रेकपछि फेरि यहाँलाई स्वागत छ अघि भने जस्तै हाम्रो गेस्ट आइसक्नु भएको छ सुधाकर वेलकम टु गुड मर्निङ नेपाल
Good morning, Samir. Good morning, Sareeta. Thanks for having me here. Delighted to be here. Thank you.
Right before this break, Samir was explaining about how this technology is here now, that blind women are touching other women's breast and finding out the very initial stage of breast cancer. Could you please elaborate on this?
Yeah. So everybody knows that cancer is the emperor of all maladies. And we have a situation in the country where the non-communicable disease burden, cancer, cardiovascular, is steadily increasing. And for a resource-constrained country like ours in Nepal, even if you reduce the cost of drugs by 70 or 80%, it's still very expensive. 24% of our country is below the poverty line. Maybe 12 to 15% of the people in the valley and the main cities are below poverty line. So I think for our country, we have to detect and screen early. Now, in a world which is going high-tech, artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, I think there is also a role and space for high-touch. And I strongly believe that we can take high-tech and high-touch together. I had the opportunity to visit a conference called the Zero Conference in Vienna a few months ago. Now, this is a conference that lays emphasis on people who are disabled or impaired in some particular way. And had the opportunity to meet Professor Frank Jürgen Hoffman, who pioneered the idea of discovering hands. So basically the idea is that we have women who are visually impaired, but as you know that in the brain, 40% of our cortex and other aspects of the brain is probably dedicated towards vision. You know, we are very visual. But when that particular portion is off, that power starts getting distributed to other sensory organs. And this is where we felt that people, women who have become adept at Braille, have very high tactile perception. So we did a study to see if we could use this power in some way to detect. Now, breast cancer is Nepal's either number 1 or number 2, depending on, we're working on a population-based registry. So if you detect breast cancer early, you have the opportunity to cure it early. So to give you an example, these blind women or visually impaired women, when they are able to sense, they are able to pick up breast lumps as small as 4 to 6 millimeters. Think about it. Right. 4 to 6 millimeters. You go to a gynecologist, you go to a doctor, they will not be able to pick it up until it's about 12 to about 15 or 20 millimeters.
Wow.
So look at this power of a visually impaired woman who's able to pick it up at 2 or maybe 4 or 6 millimeters, and this corresponds to stage 1 of cancer. Now, if it is stage 1, your progression-free survival over 10 years is 90%.
Right.
True.
But when a woman, most of the women in Nepal don't go for breast examination, either clinical or self, right? And when they actually find a lump, it is probably too late. It is stage 3 or stage 4. And then chemotherapy and radiotherapy. I mean, cancer is something that takes your life. It also bankrupts you.
Okay.
And this is where we felt we could use this. It gives gainful employment to a community that we have forgotten. They're invisible to us. Right. And we screen early.
So, Sudhakar, just to explain to our audience, उहाँले हामी अङ्ग्रेजीमा गरेर तापनि एउटा कुरा चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि स्तन क्यान्सरलाई दृष्टिहीन महिलाले छोएरै एकदम अर्ली स्टेज सुरुवातको स्टेजमै एउटा एक किसिमले पत्ता लगाउनलाई मद्दत गर्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ यो यसबारे छलफल भइरहेको छ र आई वान्ट टु आस्क यु सुधाकर फर एक्जाम्पल दिस लेडिज महिलाहरू उहाँहरूलाई ट्रेनिङ हुन्छ कि आर दे ट्रेन अर इज इट नेचुरल?
No, so the basic ability for tactile perception is natural. However, we've created a curriculum under the Discovering Hands Academy, which trains them for a period of 3 to 6 months so that they're able to converse. And we call them MTEs, Medical Tactile Examiners, right? And most of the blind women in Nepal are in rural Nepal. The typical range, if you look at the population, depending on the place, if it's Japa or Kailali, it may be as high as 2 to 2.5% of the population is blind, right? And if it's uniblind, it's probably even higher. Right. And these people today, 95% of them are unemployed. They're invisible to us. So we train them, And then they are able to pick up these suspicious lesions with great levels of accuracy. However, this is not a substitute. See, the big problem in Nepal is you don't have an MRI everywhere. You don't have a mammogram everywhere. But these are human assets that get better with time. I could use a machine, but a machine depreciates. But a human being becomes better and better with time. The other problem that this solves, if you look at Nepal's situation, you screen for cancer. But today what is happening is when somebody gets detected with cancer, from detection to final diagnosis takes maybe a month or two. From final diagnosis to treatment could be another 4 or 5 months. Now this is already a death sentence. Because when there is such a big gap between diagnosis and treatment regimen getting started, you're already looking at a situation where the disease would have spread and become metastatic. And this is why catching it early is the only solution for our country. And this is where I think high touch, you're also taking care of people that otherwise would not be gainfully employed. And they get better with time. We can move them across the country, and women would be more comfortable in an ambience where you have a visually impaired woman, so they would not have inhibitions undergoing this procedure.
Just out of curiosity, Sudhakarji, how comfortable are these visually impaired women to be involved in this?
So I think everybody wants dignity, right? Everybody wants financial independence. Everybody wants, I think the biggest thing, whether we are impaired or not, is security. We all want security. We all want dignity. We all want to do something that we think is socially impacting somebody, right? So we've currently identified with the help of the Rotary, with the help of INGOs like GTA, we're working with BPKIHS Dharan. We've identified the first group of about 18 to 20 visually impaired women from across the country. We're going to go through an assessment program and then send them for training. So I think they're super excited. And a lot of them, in my experience from India and Germany, etc., tend to continue through this program. And I would encourage hospitals which are, we can't only think high tech, because high tech is one part, but we have so many human assets that can also be put to productive use.
I have a quick question, because we did discuss this earlier. So then we're talking, this is, यो कस्तो भन्दाखेरि विज्ञान पनि छ, स्वास्थ्य पनि छ, र यसमा हाम्रो जनशक्ति पनि कुरा छ, दृष्टिविहीन महिलाहरूको पनि कुरा छ. उहाँहरूबाट हामी एक सर्भिस उहाँहरू खोज्दैछौँ र उहाँ यसमा एक्सपर्ट हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने छ. The question is, what is the detection rate like? You must have some facts and data. So in other countries, has it been seen to be effective? Or effective?
Of course. So this is not just voodoo science, right? We're not talking about. So there have been random control trials, and the science has already been published in various journals in Germany. And we are also planning to conduct a similar study in Nepal. But we have seen that the degree of accuracy in detecting a lump is very, very high. However, sometimes the false positives. So when you say false positives, it's a situation where there is a lump, it need not be malignant, but it still gets categorized. It still gets categorized as suspicious. So all we want to do, I would call this a suspicious cancer pathway program.
Well, not necessarily bad, because then
it's not necessarily bad. You might just feel, but you see, the women in Nepal, in India, in the Indian subcontinent, they have very dense breasts. So our women have dense breasts, which means even mammograms are probably not super sensitive. And therefore, this is not a substitute. We're only trying to get cases that could become metastatic could much earlier. And the earlier you spot it, you have a huge chance of reducing cost, increasing productivity, and also have progression-free survival. So this is the whole idea.
Okay, let's say that in our villages, our visually impaired women did the examination on other women and found out, or let's say they are suspicious. How do we go about it next? What do we do after that?
Great. So this is a fantastic question, Sareeta, and this is where I think we can combine technology with tradition, right? So let us say we're talking about a visually impaired woman in Japa, and there are not too many high-end tertiary care facilities with all the diagnostic capabilities. She finds a woman who is suspicious, right? We could use a portable ultrasound to take an image of this particular woman's breast and have this ultrasound image sent via the internet, telemedicine,
Right.
to a high-end tertiary referral center. It could be
Right.
Mediciti, it could be any other hospital.
Right.
We could then have a gynecologist actually review it and reconfirm. And if we think that this is a problem, we pick this woman up and she goes to a referral center. Or we've also started using artificial intelligence algorithms. So in Mediciti, we're going to announce the use of AI algorithms to read medical images, right? Not to substitute radiologists, but to augment. So we could also have a situation, see, in Nepal today, what is the problem? Gynecologists are super busy. They can hardly give 3 to 4 minutes per patient, right? Because of the volume, supply-demand gap. But these blind women or visually impaired women, they have time. They can give 25, 30 minutes to do this detection. You need time to do accurate diagnosis. So here we could use ultrasound, and we could use a deep learning algorithm to read the ultrasound to reconfirm. And if we again get a reconfirmation, then we go into the traditional biopsies and stuff like this. But the idea is to get this done early.
That's
and
amazing.
quickly.
I mean, we're talking, the traditional science, health science,
Right.
and future science.
Right.
यो उहाँले गर्न खोजेको इन्ट्रेस्टिङ के छ भन्दाखेरि पुरानो एउटा सिस्टम जो हातले छोएर क्यान्सर डिटेक्ट गर्ने त्यो डिटेक्ट गर्यो भने नयाँ तरिकाले म्यामोग्राम गरेर त्यो इन्टरनेटबाट इन्फर्मेसन पठाउने स्वास्थ्य चौकी स्वास्थ्य सेन्टरहरूमा र त्यसै गरी त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ डक्टरहरूले चाहिँ त्यसलाई अझ पूर्व सूचनाको लागि हेर्न सक्ने चाहिँ एकदम एभ्रिथिङ इज कम्बाइन्ड नाउ माई क्वेसन इज दिस how prepared are we as in Nepal to start this thing at a national level, or do we need to do some sort of a preparation?
Yeah.
Are we ready for Nepal la yasko lagi?
No, I think Nepal's absolutely ready. This is our time. And I think Nepal should absolutely focus on health, education, agriculture, and a few other select industries that I think will position Nepal into the next century and into the coming few years. So I think Nepal is very open right now to all kinds of new ideas. And the current set of people who have, and I think after this program and maybe after the workshop tomorrow, I want more and more visually impaired women to come out in the open. Today they are invisible. They're sitting somewhere, they're sitting at homes, and we are invisible. And I think once we have more and more of them, we would rather use these human assets and use technology. We will never be able to get a mammogram and an MRI to these remote centers, but we will be able to detect it early.
Right.
See, the great thing about Nepal is maybe less than 30 or 40% of our population is close to a high-end tertiary hospital, but 95% of our population is near a cell phone tower. So if I can detect, I can use internet to send the images, and I can have a deep learning algorithm read it, or I can have a gynecologist read it and detect early. So detecting early is the only solution.
I think you recently answered my question. In fact, this is a great start, I personally think. And I know for women in villages, they would be very excited. But what do you think those women or people here who are exposed to fancy hospitals and all these technologies, do you think they would feel comfortable with this idea?
So, Sareeta, you might want to just, I'm trying to understand your question. So you're saying
So do you think,
people may not believe? Is that what you're
would
saying?
they want to try this or not? Especially in the cities.
Yeah.
Because you're used to radiology and mammograms and all that. Would they want to try this?
So I think two things will happen. I think before people wanting to try this, I'll have to get the doctors and the medical community to participate in this, right? Because once the science is visible to the gynecologists, the science is clear with the oncologists, and they agree that this is good science, because the patients or women are going to believe their gynecologists and the doctors. So so I basically have a two-pronged strategy. The first strategy is to make people aware about breast cancer and the problems related to breast cancer. And number two is to get the doctors to be convinced that this is not voodoo, this is mainstream. And once they are convinced, it will automatically flow to the normal women. And end of the day, we are beating cancer and we are giving our blind women a gainful, dignified employment as a tactile examiner. They're almost like doctors. Imagine how they would feel, once they find a suspicious lesion and actually save a woman's life by treating it early, no cost. I mean, cancer is something that might take your life, but more importantly, it bankrupts you. It's not like cardiovascular where you put a stent and you play golf the next day. This is something that's long term. and therefore detection and early screening.
Okay, so maybe I want to change the question. How are doctors taking it right
So I think the doctors in Nepal are much more open, I would say,
Okay.
as compared to my experience in India and some of the other countries. The other great advantage in Nepal is there's no restriction of taking ultrasounds outside hospitals. So in some countries like India, you can't transport ultrasounds out. But here, that challenge does not remain. And the doctors and gynecologists are open to this idea. And therefore, I think that with the participation of teaching hospitals like BPKIHS, TU, Mediciti, and our gynecologists, and there are many foundations, the Netra Jyoti and the Rotary. I think with kind of this community participation, we could show the world that Nepal can marry high tech and high touch.
So Sudhakar, we're almost at the end of the program. Just before we go, so you are about to start a large-scale study also to assess this?
Right.
Can you just tell us very briefly what you're going to do?
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have Professor Hoffman tomorrow at Mediciti, where we're going to launch or explain how we're going to use artificial intelligence in radiology and how we're going to use tactile perception. The second stage, in parallel, is to work with BPKIHS Dharan to do 2 programs, one in Mediciti and one in Dharan. And once we have these 2 pilots successful, we want to then do it in Jang, in Kailali, in Chitwan, across the country. And also parallelly work with NHRC, with Professor Anjani Kumar Jha, to actually put out a study, a similar study of sensitivity and specificity from a Nepal context. So we have the science building up and we have practical applications. At the end of the day, you want to see how it's on the ground. There's no substitute to that. So.
If there are no further questions from Sareeta, I think we're now at the end of the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here and explain to us. हाम्रो दर्शकहरूले आज नयाँ कुरा सुन्न पाउनु भयो होला हामीलाई पनि एकदम इन्ट्रेस्ट लागेको छ हैन दृष्टिहीन महिलाबाट क्यान्सर एक्सरे स्क्रिनिङ गर्ने जसबाट चाहिँ त्यसको आको नतिजाबाट चाहिँ उहाँहरु फेरि डाक्टरका जान सक्नुहुन्छ र त्यसलाई कन्फर्म गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ यो मेडिसिनबाट सुरु हुन लाग्छ उहाँलाई शुभकामना दिदै
Thank you.
We'll hope for a very good program tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll try to attend, but if not, please have a wonderful very interesting program. And
We thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Very grateful for having me here. Thank you very much.
यति भन्दै हामी यहाँबाट बिदा लिन्छौँ भोलि फेरि 8 बजे रमाइलो कार्यक्रम लिएर आउने नै छौँ यहाँको दिन शुभ रहोस् Have a good Friday. Namaskar.
Hi everyone. Thank you for watching our show Good Morning Nepal on YouTube. To get more updates, hit the bell icon and subscribe us, send us comments, like us, tell us what you feel. Thank you everyone.